Warning, the following podcast contains very offensive language, so if you're easily offended or upset, then maybe this isn't the podcast for you. Now we're going to move on to my movie recommendations for yourselves. Movies that have been out quite a long while. Last week there was only one movie, but the same with the TV recommendations. From now on, to slim the podcast down a little bit, because I think an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes is kind of pushing it, considering how much I drone on. So I've kind of limited parts. So like what you'll see later with the football, the sports section is now really slimmed down just to football. And if there's any interesting sports stories, I'll bring them up. First, there's only going to be one movie recommendation and one TV recommendation a week now, unless we have a special guest, and then we might do 2 or 3. But when it's just me, it's just going to be one. So my recommendation for this week is a movie most of you have probably seen. Like I said in the podcast intro, it's a movie I love. I watched as a kid quite a lot. One of the first couple of movies that got me into superhero movies, along with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and some of the others. And I even watched Blade as a kid, so make of that what you will. That's why I've turned out fucked up. Blame my mother. Call her up. But yeah, anyway, so we're going to be talking about this lovely movie. I'm going to bring it closer to the camera so you can see it. Fantastic Four 2005. I absolutely adore this movie, but I'm going to go through the cast and synopsis first, just so you guys can make of it what you will, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. So, Fantastic Four 2005 stars Joan Grufford, however you say his name, as Reed Richards / Mr. Fantastic. Then we have Jessica Alba, who I used to adore as a kid. She was my crush as a kid. As Sue Storm, or the Invisible Woman. Then we have Michael Chiklis as Ben Grimm, or The Thing, as they like to call him. And finally, Captain America himself. This was one of the roles why Kevin Feige decided to choose him, but tons of people were telling him not to choose him because they saw him in this movie, which is funny because I'm recommending it to you, is Captain America himself, Chris Evans, as Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. Also stars Julian McMahon as Victor Von Doom, or Dr. Doom. They obviously liked him in that Marvel movie because they brought him back in the Runaways TV show. So, yeah, catch Runaways if you can. Kerry Washington as Alicia Masters, who turns out to be Ben Grimm's girlfriend, but I don't want to spoil anything. That's just something you find out later on in the movie. And then we have the late, great Stan Lee, my hero, one of my many heroes, but he's my main hero. I did cry when he died, just so you know. In one of his greatest cameos, well, I say greatest, it's one of the first cameos I saw anyway, as Willie Lumpkin, the doorman on the Fantastic Four Tower. I can't remember what it's called now. What's the tower called? Baxter Building. That's the one. I was going to research it then, but yeah, he's the doorman on the Baxter Building. No, is he? I don't know. No, he's not. Do you know what? I haven't actually seen this movie in that long that can't remember what his cameo is. Isn't he like a postman or something? I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, his cameo is really, really good. Like when I can remember it. But he's in it, so if you want to have a cry about Stan Lee, another cameo to look at. Fantastic Four picks up with 4 scientists and 1 billionaire, Victor Von Doom, who funds the overall project that they're going on. Who go to outer space to research cosmic energy clouds for the benefit of mankind. Whilst aboard the research station, a malfunction allows some cosmic energy to enter the station and grants all 5 present special powers. When back on Earth, the 4 learn to control their powers and become a new family, as they protect the world from the villainous Dr. Doom. That's good. But yeah, so that's a synopsis really summed up. I love this movie. I'm just going to go into some of the points why I think you should check it out, if you want to check it out, that is. So, it's a great movie from my childhood. I absolutely love it. I was brought up on this movie. It came out when I was, 10? Probably? So yeah, so it came out when I was 10. It was one of the great early 2000 superhero movies. Its sequel was good. Came out with Daredevil, Elektra, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, all the other ones that came out around that time. So there you go. If you want to see a really cringy 2000s parts and really cringy 2000 CGI and really cringy 2000s looks and sounds and stuff, then you're right in your element. It features Chris Evans before Cap. Like I say, Kevin Feige, I've heard, chose Chris Evans as Captain America after seeing his Johnny Storm. But some people said Johnny Storm almost lost him the job. Because everybody was like, you cast him that guy as Captain America. Johnny Storm as Captain America. Are you mad? But yeah, so you get to see him before then. And it's so funny to see like the difference, the comparison between Johnny Storm, Chris Evans, and Captain America, Chris Evans, and Negan. I can never remember his name. He was also in The Losers with Idris Elba and a couple of others, and Negan himself, Jeffrey D. Morgan. He's so funny in that. So if you compare that with Johnny Storm and then compare those two to Captain America, it's so weird, like the weirdest comparison. But most of the CGI in it was pretty good for its age. A lot of like the thing was practical, which was good, and a lot of the effects were practical. But the odd bit of CGI they did have in, like when Reed Richards puts his hand under the door when they come back from the space station, you see, that was really good. Like when his hand goes flat, and like they flatten his hand and he goes up and he pulls the door from underneath because it's locked. That's really good. That's a really good scene. See if you can find that on YouTube if you want to pick the Blu-ray up. Villain was pretty good. Dr.Doom was better than the Silver Surfer and Cloud Galactus in the sequel, but really good. And it doesn't fall. I don't think it does. This is my opinion. I don't think Dr.Doom in this movie falls prey to what everybody says is the MCU's forgettable villain problem, like where villains turn up for one movie and they die and people forget who they are, like Malekith and Ronan. Because my brain's like a full sack of shit, I remember all these things, but some people don't. But I think like even if you watch this movie and then a couple of years later you forget about it, you still remember Doctor Doom. Is that memorable? The four bounce off each other really well as a cast. I think they do. Like they're really good as a cast. They come together. They have laughs and jokes. They look really like a family, like they should be. The Fantastic Four always were a family in the comics. So I think like they got a blend of different people, brought them together as a cast, and they really bounce well off each other. Well, that's my opinion anyway. Yeah, now we're going to get onto some of the negatives that might put you off the movie, but this is like totally up to you guys, to be totally honest. It's your opinion. Well, you need to make up your own mind on it. I'm just giving you a recommendation. These are the things that you might not like. Just make your own mind up. I always say it. So, the Reed Richards and Sue Storm romance is fucking cringe. I fucking hate it. Them two together, although as a family they work together, although as them two bouncing off each other is really good. The actual romance parts and the actual thing is so hard. It's like prequel tier dialogue. Oh my god. It's cringy when they start talking to each other. It's like at the end, there's a part at the end where he's trying to propose to Sue Storm. He turns around and says, I found a gasket in space. And she goes, what do you mean you found a gasket in space? He turns around and goes, well, I thought if you put it on, it could be a wedding ring. Ooh, cringe. And the sequel, them two together, like as characters talking off each other are good, but when they get to the romantic stuff, oh, it's cringe. There's a bit at the end of the movie, because obviously, you know, with most superhero movies, they win in the end. You have a dance scene on a barge, and there's some CGI where young Grufford's Reed Richards twists himself up and goes up into the sky. It is some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. Like, it's up there with like Black Panther when they're falling down the cavern. Some of the stuff from like shit CGI. Some of the movies were shit CGI. That was crap. It's full of early 2000s reference, so either that's cringy and reminds you of your childhood, or it's really nostalgic. Make your own mind up. It's probably been the best Fantastic Four movie so far. It's better than its sequel, I think, anyway. And it's both of them are miles better than the 2015 one, obviously, because of the studio interference and all that. But it's, I say so far, because obviously Disney bought out Fox, and now the MCU the Marvel Studios get to use the X-Men and Fantastic Four now, so obviously they'll probably do a better iteration. I hope so anyway. But for now, this is the only movie we've got. So the plot was pretty easy to understand. It's pretty simple. It's not one of them ones where you have to have prior knowledge like the MCU, or it's like the most in-depth, and there's like 3 different storylines and plots all merging together. Now it's just a simple, you follow these 4 all the way through the movie, from when they get their powers to the end with the big battle, obviously, that you know they're going to have. So that's, and the whole movie's pretty executed. It's executed pretty well, to be honest. Tim Story does a really good job, the director, in these movies. I just really enjoy his version of the Fantastic Four and how he does them. But yeah, just to sum up, it's just really enjoyable. It's a really good superhero movie. It's fun. It's everything that a good MCU movie is, apart from the cringy bits. And I'd highly recommend. It is one of those movies that it's like a cult movie, or whatever you want to call it, where some people really love it, but others absolutely hate it. Like, it's Marmite to them. It's one of them movies, like, there's certain movies that I watch that other people just hate and despise, and like, they don't even give it the chance. Whereas me, I absolutely love this movie. But just to finish up, just before I get into the critic stuff, I just wanted to say this Blu-ray, in this case, because this is the case that it comes in, that's the case, but this is the slipcover. It's actually in Poundland if you're in the UK right now, because you know Poundland have those massive Blu-ray stacks down the electronics aisle. It's in there right now for £2. So if you're really interested and you really want to try it and see how good it is, I recommend picking it up from Poundland. Don't go to HMV and all that, because they've got stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of these. In Poundland's where I am up in Lincolnshire, around Lincoln and Boston. I've seen tons where Big Paulie is, down south around Folkestone and that way. So just go and pick it up from there. So just to finish up, like I say, I'm going to go through the Rotten Tomatoes, the Metacritic and the Cinema Score. So Rotten Tomatoes is 27% with 211 reviews, so it's pretty rotten, but that's just the critics. I really enjoy it. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. There's lots of bad movies that other people love, like The Room. Everybody loves The Room, thinks it's hilarious because it's so shit, which is the point. Whereas this isn't hilarious, it's just really good. It's just that it's bogged down with tons of, it's just bogged down with tons of cringy shit. Once you get through the cringy shit and the 2000s references and stuff there, the story underneath is just so good and so compelling. It's one of the best like iterations of the Fantastic Four so far. Metacritic is a 40 based on 35 reviews, so not that many reviews, so it's not going to really change that. It's 14 years old, nearly 15 years old. Jesus Christ. Didn't realise I was that old. And then last but not least, just going to give you the Cinema Score. Like I said, anything above a B is pretty good. B's about middle of the road and got a B. So yeah, that's really all the more you can ask of it. So that concludes today's movie recommendation. If you enjoy it, I highly recommend you pick the Blu-ray up. If you just want something to watch with your mates while you have a couple of pints and we really enjoy superhero movies, it's just a really good watch. I can't recommend it highly enough. So that is it really. We're now going to move into the TV part, where I'm going to talk to you about Game of Thrones and give you my TV recommendation for the week. So yeah.